And it looks like we are live. Happy Tuesday. Last Tuesday in May of 2025. Just making sure everything is like slowly mapping over. So happy Tuesday, like I said. Today we're going to be working on a design with a new sign that just came out from Craft Outlet. So I'm super excited to share it with you. We're going to go ahead and get started. Let me make sure. It's always good. Just because it says it's connected, we should always verify that it is. So give me just a second as I pop over into both groups and make sure we are live in YouTube. What is Facebook doing? Let's look. Looks like we're live in Facebook too. It's always good, like I said, to double check. So, it is warm here, man. I don't know what happened here in Washington. It went from like raining yesterday and like 50 degrees, and like today it's hovering into the 80s, which I know for some of you is like, oh, 80s is so nice. I used to think that too when I lived in the desert. However, that is pretty warm when it's here in Washington, because we start to feel like those of you on the East Coast or down south where the humidity is high, and so it feels yucky outside. And I always say if it's going to be this hot outside, it should smell like brownies baking in the oven. Wish there was brownies baking in the oven, but that's for another day. So before we go ahead and get started, if you want to save a copy of this tutorial, go ahead and hit the save button if you are on YouTube. If you are on Facebook, just click the share button. It does a quick copy paste from my page to your page. When it's on your page, make sure you go ahead and download a copy of that video, because in 30 days that video will disappear because Facebook's no longer allowing you to store videos. So there's always YouTube, right? If you want to make sure that your notifications are turned on so that you're notified when I go live, make sure that you have subscribed to my channel. If you're on YouTube, click the bell, click the subscribe button. Love to have you join us. On Facebook, a little bit different. You want to make sure you've liked the page, and then the follow button is hidden, but you can uncover it by going to the right of the blue button that's at the top of my page to the three little dots, the ellipses. Click on that and make sure that turn live notifications on is checked, and then you're good to go. And then we're in like Flynn. And let me go ahead and turn chat on so I can see chat for both groups without having to toggle to both groups. Hi, Pam. Good evening. Hi, Karen. Hi, Valerie. Welcome. And Elizabeth and Leslie. Thank you guys for joining me. So you guys ready to see the new sign? This just came out because I just got my Craft Outlet order in today. I was like, what should I make today? And then FedEx came by this morning and dropped off a package of goodies. So I was like, oh, that solves a lot of problems. So this is going to be our design inspiration, which is perfect. Again, every day. This is a Home Sweet Home Magnolia Wreath. It's available from Craft Outlet. So we're going to be using this as our design inspiration. So I'm going to go ahead and pivot you down. I'm going to show you how to wire up your frame, and then we're going to go get started on our design. Now, feel free on Facebook Lives and YouTube Lives, something a little bit different. You can actually talk to me while we're creating. So if you have a burning question, please make sure that you go ahead and ask the question. If you were catching this later on a replay, either on Facebook or YouTube, feel free to go ahead and comment, because I do go through those and make sure that those questions and comments are addressed. So I'm going to pivot you down, so hang tight. I'm always feeling so short because I have to stand on my tiptoes to do that. I have my door open, both doors open actually, because it is just too warm in here. So 14-inch Dollar Tree frame. I know some of you are out and about trying to find these, because when you go to Dollar Tree online, it says they are only available in the store. When I called Dollar Tree, they said that they are currently waiting for an order to come in, and thus, or at least this is what they said, you can keep checking back at Dollar Tree online, or you can go ahead and try to find them in your stores. I know that these are like, we never thought the Dollar Tree would run out of our wreath frames, but there is a shortage. So this is what we're doing. You can also buy a 14-inch Dollar Tree, or not Dollar Tree frame. Craft Outlet sells them with a 3-ring instead of a 4, but it is an elevated frame. So it's got that elevation that kind of goes up, you know, I think it's almost 1.5 inches, if not 2 inches. So a little bit different, but for $1.89, that could be our backup if these go away. Let's pray that does not happen. So to go ahead and wire this up, there are 6 sections to this frame, 4 rings that make up the entire frame. We're going to take our first pipe cleaner. We're going to go ahead and put that in the middle of the 2 innermost rings. And then you're just going to give it a little twist. That gives it some stability that just doesn't happen when you put it on one. So it doesn't matter how tight I tie this, we're going to get some flippy flops, and you don't get it here. So that's why we do 2. Now for the other, we're going to wire together the 2 outside rings. So we're going to start here and just kind of find a midway point. I always say if you use this one and your weld and kind of find a midway point for that, that would be perfect. We're going to go ahead and do the same on the other side with our green pipe cleaner, just like this. And so that is how we are going to wire up all of each section. I'm going to be alternating either beige or moss green. And then what we're going to do after that is we're going to take this natural and white. This is what's called a jute burlap or imitation burlap Deco mesh. It cannot be cut with a wood burning tool. It has to be cut with a rotary cutter. So I have cut my pieces to 20 inches. We are going to do the ruffle technique, which just involves, just imagine an invisible line right up the center. You're going to take and just gather, pull your mesh towards you, and about 1/2 inch pleats is what it ends up doing. They're kind of like backing up accordion style, but this is considered a ruffle. People also refer to it as a scrunch or the bow tie because it looks like a bow tie. And then we're going to take this and we're going to lay that right inside, just like this. And we're going to give it 2 twists. So that's our center. Now the outside 2 are designed to go completely over this, so that when we put in the next 2, we've got seamless, flawless coverage. So I'm going to go ahead and add these 2 in. Hi, J-Cat. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Carol. Thank you so much for spreading the love out loud. Sharing is amazing. If you guys would do that, I would greatly appreciate that. It definitely helps YouTube know that you like the content, so they will show more of the content to you. So I'm going to go ahead and put these 2 in the outside. Go ahead and pull those out because they do like to go through and peek through the outside. So there is 1. We're going to add the last piece right over here, just like this. So this is how to do the Deco mesh ruffles using jute burlap mesh cut with a rotary cutter to 20 inches. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pop this one over, lay that right down inside, 2 twists, and then what I like to do is just make sure on the edges right here and right here, I like to fold those over because those are raw edges. Those will fray. And on the jute burlap mesh wreaths, you are going to notice some frays. That's just natural. That's just what happens when we're using a jute burlap mesh base. Some things you can do to kind of help. You could use a product like this called E6000 spray adhesive. It's basically kind of like watered down glue. So what you would do is once you finish your base, you just go ahead and spray, spray, spray. You can either let it lay like that and come back and do the rest of it after 24 hours because it takes 24 hours to dry. Or if you're impatient like me and you don't have that time, spray, spray, spray. Use a blow dryer and go ahead and dry it. It does not leave it feeling crunchy or stiff or immovable. It just kind of helps to prevent those little wayward frays from leaving the mothership. So now we're going to take this, we're going to add this to the one I've already finished so that you can kind of see what this looks like in its entirety. I kind of like it when you add the bolder wide striped mesh, because this is the look you get. You get the burlap look on the ends with the white color primarily popping in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to take the 3 out that I added here. Since they're already done for me, I'm going to pull them out. Going to place this right back inside. It's always a challenge when you start getting into the last sections of your mesh. It starts to get really thick. I am removing all this 6 to the inside, so that's the closest to the center. I'm just going to tuck the end of my pipe cleaner down below. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this now has good coverage underneath those outer pieces, just like so. And then I'm going to get ready and pull the 2 that I need to add the Deco mesh to. Right here's the other one. Okay, just like this. We'll go ahead and remove this. Pick that up. And we're going to plop this right down on top. Just like so. But we're going to leave the outside 2 in each section, which will give us 12 to add our ribbons to. So one last piece here. And we will be all finished with our Deco mesh base. Okay, it's been a while since we've done a Deco mesh base. We've been working on grapevines and florals and all kinds of everything else. So this is a nice change of pace. Again, make sure your edges are rolled. I like to prep my pipe cleaners by having them go straight up and down. It just makes it easy for me to come in and lay all my ribbons in. And no, this is not a pancake. It looks similar. A pancake would only have 12 pieces, so 6 on the inside, 6 to the outside. This one actually has 6 to the inside and 12 to the outside. So a little bit more of a fuller wreath, but it does look similar. Okay, we're going to go in and add our ribbons really quick. And these are the ribbon combos I have. So we are taking this 1.5 inches. It's called white raised white stitching, because you can feel it's got a little bit of a, like, it's raised. It's on top of the green with that white. So this is 1.5 inches cut to 19 inches. We're going to pair that with a really nice Magnolia ribbon. And let's see. The Magnolia ribbon came from Craft Outlet, and so did the green with the raised white stitching. The Magnolia ribbon is cut to 14-inch pieces. And then we're going to pair that with the tan and white Cabana ribbon, cut to 19-inch pieces. Craft Outlet, paired with the moss green big white dots. This is from Kringle, I believe. Yes, Kringle Designs. The Cabana ribbon, again, is also from Craft Outlet. So those are the combos. Obviously, where we have the green is where our magnolia is going. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put those in. I'd like to, they're already dovetail cut. So all the 2.5 inch pieces cut to 14 inches. All the 1.5 inch pieces cut to 19 inches. Dovetail the ends because you don't have time to watch that. We're going to fold it in half so we know where the true middle is. We're going to gather those together. Going to lay it right inside, just one twist. And it naturally wants to look like a Frito scoop chip. It's got a little bit of a scoop. So I want you to take your fingers and push them underneath and get those to flare out. And then we're going to take our 1.5 inch. We're going to bring the edges together. We're going to go up about 2 inches and we're going to scrunch in. Okay. Then we're going to take that. We're going to lay this right inside that pipe cleaner and we're going to give it a couple twists. And then we're going to open the loop. We are going to flip this around. Okay. I'm going to remove these pipe cleaners. So wherever I have the leftover piece, I'm going to cut that off. But then I'm going to take that tail. I'm going to tuck it all the way around the back so that when I open it, you don't even see it. Okay. So that is our first ribbon combination. The second one, I'm going to do the same thing. Fold it in half. Find true center and go straight up. We're going to lay this right to the center of our pipe cleaner. One twist. Pop that out. Bring your dovetailed ends together. Scrunch in. And we're going to go ahead and lay that right inside there. And give it a couple twists. Go ahead and cut that off. Wrap the rest of your tail behind the back. Open your loop. And then you always have to right side the wrong side of your ribbon so that the right side is showing. And then make sure those are punched out. Make sure they're like lifted up. We don't want flat ribbons. We want gorgeous. And I like the magnolia to show because that's what this wreath is all about. So we're going to keep doing this all the way around in those combinations. Karen, Deco mesh is cut to 20 inch pieces. 2.5 inch ribbon is cut to 14 inch pieces. And the 1.5 inch is cut to 19. So, and then like I said, we're giving them a couple extra twists just to make sure those won't pop open. So open and go ahead and bring those out. So that is like the combination that we are doing for this particular wreath. Keeping it kind of magnolia themed. I'm not a big fan on this one of adding magnolia flowers because they're so big. They would just really take over most of the stuff that I want to incorporate in the wreath. Like the sign, there'd be no place for it in the sign because it already features a really big bloom and some little buds. So if I did that, we wouldn't have room for a bow. It kind of becomes that we could do that or we could do something different. So this is what I've selected to do on this design. And sometimes your deco mesh can get in the way. You know, the pieces don't necessarily always want to lay flat. They don't always do what you want them to do. So just make sure you kind of, you know, work with it to get it to lay. Sometimes the ribbon can be stubborn, especially a ribbon like this where it's got a really big design that is painted on. So I like to make sure that we can see it all. Oh, thanks, Elizabeth. She says, beautiful ribbon. I love the Magnolia ribbon. And I still believe that this is available at Craft Outlet. I've had this ribbon for a little while. Let me, where am I at? Boop. There we go. So I can see that. Okay. Popping this in. The only reason I give it so many extra twists is one time, I think I had it like twisted twice. When I went around to add some other embellishment, it had popped open. And so, that was a first. And I was like, okay, that can't happen in real life. So I just give it a couple extra twists just to make sure we don't have that happen in the future. And you can get your colored pipe cleaners. You can order them from Craft Outlet. There's a couple places you can get your pipe cleaners from. I used to get mine from Shinoda Design Center. They were in Southern California when we lived there, and they had the best pipe cleaners. But we're not there anymore. So you can order them through places like Craft Outlet, the Wreath Shop. I believe Deco Exchange has some. White Bayou probably sells them. There really is a multitude of different places for you to get your pipe cleaners from. Now, if they're just the standard beige, black, white, I get those directly from Hobby Lobby just because it's easier for me to get in and get out. I use those quite a bit. I could have used beige and white on this and been fine. And this wreath could go spring, summer, fall. So this is one of those wreaths you can use in between all the other seasons. It is the only one that I am making. It is currently listed on my website, which, thanks. Let me go ahead and put that in there. catscreationsandmore.com. If you're interested, all you will see, and I boofed that one. There we go. That's the real one. You will just see a placeholder. It'll just say Cats Creations with a Facebook and YouTube Live logo. That is for this wreath. Okay, there's that one. I'm going to wrap that behind, open the loop, right side, the wrong portion of our ribbon. And I really try to emphasize, like, just really pull your tails out so that they have some movement. There we go. It just looks so much nicer. It always amazes me when people send me pictures of their wreaths. And I'm so desperate because I want to fix all their ribbon tails. You know, I'm like, just give them some love. Just run your fingers through. Even my own kids will do that when I send them whatever designs they need for their home. I'm like, please promise me when you take photos, you will fluff those ribbons. So, fluffing. We're going to have to do a class. How to fluff your ribbons. How to fluff your bow. I think that'd be a really good class. It'd be a short class. It'd be one of the cat hacks. Just a short, simple little tutorial that shows you, here's how to fluff your bow. And here's how to fluff your ribbons. Because sometimes people will keep their wreaths for a couple seasons and the way that you want it to look when you're pulling it out of the season is just give it those little pieces of attention. That's why we use wired ribbon to begin with. It's to give you that look that you first got when you ordered the wreath, and that's how we do it. We got a couple more of these, and then we'll be done. We will add our sign, and then we'll make our bow. There's that. I haven't even looked to see what my chickens are doing. They might just be hanging out under their chicken coop, because they dig giant holes under their chicken coop to lay in the cold dirt. So that's probably where they're at, waiting for the sun to go down past the tree line, which is right about 5. And then they get the sun, and then, man, they're like crazy. They love it out there when it's nice and cool. Hi, Valerie. Hi, Steve. Juanita said, hi, just got home. We'll watch the replay. No worries. I just thought we'd put together a quick everyday design. If you haven't already, make sure you have some everyday items in your shop, because sometimes people are just looking for something to put on their door in between all their holiday designs. So this would be one of them. Okay, one of each remains. I think our neighbors are here because I was listening to the lawnmower start next door. So many people right after the rains. You could almost just, it was like a symphony of lawnmowers. One person started and everybody else followed suit, because we've had a lot of rain this year. And so it has caused, you know, you can't really get out there and mow if it's wet. So a lot of people have had to delay mowing, and it never fails. It's like it only rains on the weekends, which is when most people can mow. And so everyone's lawn has gotten really tall. So everybody was out mowing their lawn. Okay, last combo going in. Squeeze this one in right here. Pop that out. And I think most of the ribbon that I'm putting in the bow is all from Craft Outlet. And the only reason I buy so much from Craft Outlet is they have the lowest minimum for shipping to qualify for free shipping. And they ship for me, because I think they're in Virginia, I think. So I get it within about a week. But when I used to live in California, not so far out, because FedEx I don't think likes to make many trips out here. It's too long for their drivers. So they just kind of plan them. But they ship really quick, which is one huge thing that gets my endorsement. Is it doesn't matter how great your products are if it takes you forever to ship them. And we've probably been spoiled by Amazon by that. I will just choose the person who has the lowest price, like lowest prices, lowest shipping, qualifiers, and fast shipping. So for me, it's Craft Outlet right now. And no, I don't get paid by Craft Outlet to promote their product. So this is, and you can see how big this 12-inch sign is. It's really going to take up a lot of space on our wreath, which is perfect because then we don't have to add a lot to it. So you can also see where if we added any type of flower, it's going to really compete with what's already here on the sign. So because it's already got the holes drilled, we're going to take advantage of those. Before we add the sign, I'm going to go ahead and attach a business card to the back, making sure I have it in the right direction. We will just add our business card right to the back. Just like so. Right in the center. And then, like I said, we're going to take advantage of the holes that are already there. You could use a pipe cleaner. You could use floral wire. For those of you that haven't progressed to the floral wire, let's say you're just going to use your pipe cleaner. Because we're using beige Deco mesh, let's use beige pipe cleaners. Let's see. Yeah, that'll work. First I was thinking, wow, you can really notice that on the front. My whole goal is to make sure you have even lengths of your pipe cleaner, because you need all those lengths. And then you're going to build right over your hole. So just give it a twist 3 or 4 times. Just like that. And we'll go ahead and do this one right here at the bottom. Same thing. Making sure our lengths are the same. And then just twist right over the hole. This keeps the sign flat and not out to the side where you can see the pipe cleaners. We're going to go ahead and pull this back. And what I'm going to do is look right here. So this is where I have one of my interior pipe cleaners. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of pull these back a bit, my little ruffles. I'm going to go ahead and take my sign. I'm going to grab my pipe cleaner and put that on either side, right where that pipe cleaner is, because the pipe cleaner, remember, is on the 2 inside rings. So I'm going to take this, pull this down front. Want to really get it in. And I'm just going to do 1 twist, because I might have to readjust that. We should find our existing pipe cleaner, and it is right here. I'm going to go ahead and poke my pipe cleaner through and make sure it is on either side. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that down. So right there. That's kind of bowed my sign a bit, but that's okay. What I'm going to do is right here, except for this side, I'm going to go ahead and pull some of that Deco mesh out, but not too much. I don't want to pull a ton, because then it makes my sign look like it's sunk down too far. So just enough to kind of give it what I call feathered edge. So just kind of pull a little bit of that mesh out. Okay, where are you? Where'd you go? There you go. Okay. Make sure I'm just kind of pulling as I'm going. This one kind of goes back over here. Pull this one down. Do the same thing here. Nice little fluff. We're going to get this one going right up in here. I'll get that situated. Nice little southern design for every day. And now we're going to go ahead and make a bow. So my bow is going to sit right here. It's pretty much the only place that doesn't impact anything in the sign I'm okay with covering. Don't want to cover this, because that's our Magnolia. Can't go over here, because then it'll hide some of our home sweet home. So right over here, losing one bud, not a big, huge issue. I will pull my ribbon forward. I'm just taking that little bit of Deco mesh and tucking it inside, just like that. I'm going to set this over here. We're going to go ahead and grab our bow dabra, and we're going to make a bow. Oh, Joan, she said, love this sign. Carol says, I love Craft Outlet and Risa Joy. I think both of them have the best prices. and ship quickly. I haven't done Wreaths of Joy. I might try that. And Deborah says, do you ever go through the mesh when you attach the sign? All the time. That's my goal, because I don't want to go around it, because then you're going to be able to see it. My whole goal is to go right through it, so it'll look perfect. That would look lovely on a small cottage home front door. Hi Carmela, she said late but here. Hello everyone. And Charlotte says you make the most beautiful wreaths. Oh, thank you so much for that. Valerie said had to switch to Facebook because my audio was wonky on YouTube. Ooh, that's weird. Okay, making the bow. Let's get all of our ribbon out. So I have a little bit left, but I don't think it's enough. No, it's not enough, but I'm gonna definitely keep this. So I'm gonna pull this off of that roll, because it's definitely enough to make 2 tails out of that. I will open up my other roll so that we can add this to our design. So these are our 2 1.5 inches. This is our cabana. My raised white stitching I have on a 50-yard spool, so you can see how much I actually use it. I use it quite a bit for year-round designs. We're gonna bring your favorite, the pearl dots on the natural, and then we have the Swiss dot here. So I think I'm gonna do it like so, like this. I think that's the way I want it stacked inside my Bodabra. So I'm going to take these ones and just push them forward. And we'll start with the polka dots. First thing we want to do, dovetail the end. So that just means bring your wired edges together. And then we're taking our scissors. This is always the destination point, the end of our wired ribbon. So where you come up on this fold determines how deep that V is. So you can go very shallow. I see people do that a lot, but that's entirely up to you. It's designer preference. I like mine a little bit deeper, so I'm going to bring it up a little bit higher. Destination's always the same, just because I want it a little bit more pronounced. So we are taking 10 inches. We're going to gather, we're going to put it inside our Bodabra, and we're going to twist. So I like twisting it before we get it in there, just like that. So right side, wrong side. Now we've got to bring this up and around. I always like working with the ribbon to my left. We're going to measure out 5.5 inches. Which means from this center point, which I always place on my 10-inch line, when I pull this out, I want to see that it ends right here at 5.5 inches. So is that 6? I'm going to bring it in a little bit. And then we're going to do it on the other side. Like I said, those big old painted polka dots just make it really challenging to get that ribbon to lay flat. So that's only 5. So let's get 5.5. And then we're going to take this back out again. Our 10 inches. We'll cut that and put another dovetail on. Just like so. And, oh, Linda, listening from Cheney, Washington while visiting from Arkansas. Well, welcome. Love having you here. Where is Cheney, Washington? Because I live in Cinnabar, which is just outside of Centralia, Chehalis. Just a really small town. So I'm always curious. I don't know all the places in Washington yet, like where they all are. And so we're going to do the same for our Magnolia ribbon. Do our dovetail end. And on this one, we're going to go at 9.5 inches in, gather it in, do the twist, lay it inside, and this time we're going for 5 inches. So line it up on your 10 inches. Okay, that's like our start line. And then pull your ribbon out and pull it back until you line up the end right at 5 inches. Do the same on the other side. Put it back on the 10. When we stretch it out, remember we want to see it at 5 inches. Then back out. We're now at 9.5. Put a dovetail in on that. Boop. That one slipped right there. So let's put a clean cut on that. There we go. Hate having squared tips when you mean for it to be a straight one. Okay. Now we're doing our raised white stitching. Let's bring that back. Let's do Swiss dot. Let's break up the dots so the polka dots are not all together. So we'll do Swiss dots. Put some distance between all the dots. So this one is going to be 9 inches. Gather at 9. Twist. Place it on the inside. Then we're going to go for 4.5 inches for the loop length. So I'm lining it at 10, stretching this out, and making sure it ends at 4.5 inches. Do the same on the other side. Pretty soon you'll be able to tell just by looking at the overlap. You can kind of see half inch, half inch, half inch. That kind of will become your guide. But for me, I always just confirm. Do I have like a full 4.5 inches or 5 inches? Are my tails really the same? Because that helps when you go to fluff, when everything is the same on both sides. Okay. And the Swiss dot is from Craft Outlet. This is like my go-to ribbon. If I can't find solids, I will go with Swiss dot or I will go with gingham. Okay, now we're doing the cabana. So this is going to be, let's see, we've done 10, 9.5, 9. This is going to be 8.5 for our tail length. Gather and then twist. And we're doing these ones at the same. So it's going to go 4.5. So I'm going to put my finger in the bottom one since it's already at 4.5, and then pull. Just make sure they're both the same. This has got that paint on it, so it doesn't want to bend and stay. It wants to go back to being flat. So I'm like really having to emphasize this is where you need to stay. 8.5 inches. Put our dovetail on that. And then that one is done. Joan, it is hot. That's all I can say. Hot. I am looking forward to what is it? Thursday we're supposed to rain, and then it goes back up and it's hot again. So, not looking forward to that. I'm the cold, rainy type of person. I love cold, rainy weather. That's why I moved to Washington. Linda, it's outside Spokane. Okay, so I kind of know where that's at. So this next ribbon is 8 inches for our tail length, and it's only going to be 4 inches for our loop length. And if you like the way this ribbon comes out and you would like a free recipe, I just printed it on a recipe card because it looked cute. You can go to my website. About halfway down, it'll say, "What cat's bow recipe?" And it just asks for your email address so that I can automatically send that to you when you request you want the recipe. And then you will have a video tutorial similar to this that will show you how to put that together. And then you will also have the recipe formula. And you don't have to do it this way. That's just what works for me. I like the size of the bows this recipe makes. You know, it's just like cookie dough recipe, right? You don't have to put chocolate chips in it. You can put peanut butter chips or butterscotch chips, or whatever you'd like. We're just adding a little variation to that. So last one, this is a 6 ribbon bow. It's going to yield an 8-inch diameter bow based on the loop size. If you were measuring it from the tail side, it is a 20-inch in diameter bow. I know it seems really big, but trust me when you see it. That's why I measure from the loops and not the tails. This last one's going to be 7.5 inches with a 3.5-inch loop. So if you think about it, I'm using very little ribbon. When I put 6 ribbons together, you might think, wow, that's a lot of ribbon to waste. Not really, because I'm only using very minimal amounts. I think the most ribbon I use is about 42 inches for the very bottom one, because we've got 2 10-inch tails, and then we have 2 5.5-inch loops. Okay, there we go. Last dovetail end. And this ribbon you can find, if they still have it available, at Craft Outlet too. I think this is my last roll that I physically have. So now, it also gives you time as you're putting everything in the Bow Dabra. I prefer the Bow Dabra. It's what I started with. It is my favorite. I've tried all the others because I can use it for other things besides bow making. I use it for my angels and to hold Deco mesh curls. It's just a really universal bow making. And no, I don't get anything for the Bow Dabra plug. So we're going to pick up everything. I have prepared my pipe cleaner in a little U shape. So when I pick this up, I'm compressing both sides just like that. Then I'm going to switch it to one hand. I'm going to drop my pipe cleaner right inside. I'm going to hold it at the bottom. Twist, twist, twist. Holding the pipe cleaner but twisting the ribbon stack. So much easier on your hands. We're going to grab the fluff board that I have. See, when I started bow making, I needed something. I used to fluff on the wreaths. And now I find that if I just fluff off the wreath on something that'll allow me to secure the ribbon stack while I work on fluffing the ribbons, I get a better quality bow. So this is a 24 by 24 by 1 inch thick piece of pre-cut lumber. You can get it at Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace, whoever your hardware place is. Pick up a 2-inch C-hook. I just added the peel and stick floor strips to give it a really nice texture instead of worrying about sanding and all that other stuff. Plus it makes for a great prop when you're making bows and selling them. This is your photo backdrop. So I'm going to take my C-hook and loop that right behind my pipe cleaner like so. And I'm trying to think. I always have to think, okay, where is this going? Is this going in the top? Is it going in the bottom? What corner? This one's going to have, it's the upper left, which is going to be same as the upper right. So this just means that we're going to have top stack and bottom stack. Whatever you do here, you're going to do opposite here. We always start from the bottom and then work our way up to the top. We fluff at the very end. So lifting up the top stack, we're going to separate the loop from its tail. Okay, so I have the loop going to the left, tail going to the right. Going back over here on the bottom, we're finding that same tail. I'm going to move my tail to the left and my loop to the right, and this way loops are directly opposite from their tails. Now we're going to grab the next one. That's our magnolia ribbon. We're going opposite, so we're going to pull our loop to the right and our tail to the left. It's alternating our colors and patterns for us. Going back to the other side, we're going to move our tail to the right and the loop is to the left. Everything is nicely organized. Now, if we keep up with this pattern, it's going to be all green here and then all tan on the tan. So I like to mix this up. So I'm going to take the green and put it on top of the tan, just so we can alternate the color stacking. Okay. So remember what we do here, we do opposite down here. So we got to go find the Swiss dot. And now we're following the magnolia print ribbon. Going back up here, we're going to pull the next one down, which is our cabana ribbon. It's going to follow the polka dot. So loop to the left, tail to the right, go back over to the other side. We're taking our tail, moving that to the left, and our loop to the right. Okay. We're making a change again, otherwise it still goes green on green. So we're going to split it. We'll follow the cabana, just like this. Okay, go over here, opposite. We're going to move that over, move that here. So it means that the last one is going to follow our Swiss dot. So we're going to lay that here, follow suit over here. We are going here, and right over here, so that if I pulled all these, here's your tails. So the loops are all like in the center. We're going to start fluffing with the loops first. So you're going to pick up your first loop and your second loop, and you're going to lift and fluff them. Wring out your ribbon. No flat corners, like you don't want flat on a bow. It just doesn't look pretty. So just round those out. And then you're going to do the same on the other side. Find the same loops, put your fingers in them, and give them some life. Look, just that little bit has elevated your bow. Now from here, you're going to decide, do you want the green to come between these, or do you want the cabana? I like the green there. So I'm going to pull the cabana to the other side, and I'm going to do the Swiss dots in the middle, just like this. And we're going to do the same thing here. Move the cabana over. Bring my Swiss dots up here. Just like that. Just like that. And then from here, we'll put the polka dot in between these. And we're going to put our magnolia in between the greens. So just like this. Okay, do the same on the other side. Open this one up, elevate this one, and then just get them all lined up. Just like that. Just like so. Okay, so the loops are all fluffed. Take a moment and make sure everything is roughly where you want it to go. And now we're going to dress the tails. These are super simple. Remember curling ribbon with the scissors? your fingers are going to act as a curling ribbon. So you're just going to draw them through and you're just going to lift on all of them. Super easy. And this will just follow that cascade down, how our wreath is like this. That's going to follow suit. It's a little harder to get the ones on the bottom to go, but you can still make it look presentable. Just like this and that. And if I was doing this for like a bow to sell, I would kind of make sure that you could see all the colors. Okay. Same thing here. Make sure you can see all the colors. Just alternate those two, just like that. And so that is how, like I said, 11 inches measuring from the longest from here, 11 inches through the loops, or 20 inches if we're measuring from the bow tips. Now, you don't have to let your tips go this long. There are people who prefer their bows to end, like their tails to end where their loops end, and that's fine. Just go ahead and make cuts, or when you're loading it into the bow dabra, if we're doing a 4.5 inch loop, when you pull it out, make sure your tail is 4.5 inch. No, there's no point in you measuring it here and then cutting it off, unless you're not sure. Okay, now this is coming off. Oh, there you go. Carol says, I think you're the only one that I know that uses the bow dabra, which I think is awesome, because people who are learning how to make bows, it really helps, and your bows are always beautiful and perfect. I wish I'd known about the bow dabra when I first started. When I first started, it was the cheapest bow maker out there. The Pro Bow was like 40 bucks. And I think when I bought my first bow dabra, it was at Hobby Lobby. It was like $14.99, and then they had the 40% off coupon. That was when they still had coupons. So I got a pretty good deal. So couldn't beat that. So our bow's going to go over here, pretty much right in here. So I'm going to pull my loops down that are going to get impacted. We are going to grab my pipe cleaners. I'm going to I want my loops to go on the sign. So they're going to kind of go like that. And sometimes people have an issue with getting their bows to stay on the sign. I actually came across someone, and they don't forgive me for not knowing who it was that did it. They actually punched holes in their sign so that they could pull their bow directly down on top of the sign and keep the bow centered on the sign. You could kind of do the same thing here. You just want to make sure that your pipe cleaner is going right in here, which is where mine's going to go. I don't want to impact the words, but I need to make sure that it hits the rails, because if they don't hit the rails, we're going to have a floppy bow. So right about there, you don't want to pull it all the way down to the frame. And then what we're going to do is those tails that we had that were kind of going top and bottom, they're going to kind of just brush across the top. And the ones on the side are going to kind of brush along the bottom. So now I'm just going to refluff my bow here to get these ones to kind of come in line here. You can have them going whichever way you want. Pull that one up. Super nice. Making sure I can see all my loops. My sign is not impacted by that in any way, shape, or form. And then you're going to go around. Okay, this is photo making tip. Go around and make sure all of your ribbon tails are presentable the way you want to see them. Make sure you don't have any like weird funky tips on it. That just looks so, it looks weird when you're taking photos. So just make sure that all of your tips are straight. Okay. It's like meeting people for the very first time. We only get one opportunity to make a good first impression. So we want to make sure our first impression is really good. So now I can come back in here underneath and fluff up my bows. My tips are all where they need to be. That's just the over detailed side of who I am, making sure everything looks great. So I'm going to make sure this one goes under because I want the magnolias on the top. Just take a moment and do that. I like to bring my loops down a little bit further. I bring this one over. I'm going to get this last one way up in here and open that up, and then make sure we've got some elevation here. Okay, let's put it on the door and see what we think. I'm going to go ahead and pivot you up. So I'm going to go ahead and pivot you up. Always try to get it to frame the door. So give me just a second. I gotta fix this mount. It's a little loosey-goosey. Okay. Right there. Okay. So I'm going to take this one down. We're going to put this one up. And no, I do not cover the backs of my wreaths. I'm asked that quite a bit. Nope. It just gives the customer a lot more hanging options this way. So we're going to place this right here. Woo. I need to make sure, because I'm working with just a large screw in my door. And we'll turn this so you can see. And then, like I said, just come in and make sure you've got some nice movement in all of your ribbons, all of your designs. For a variation on this design, let me get this to go. Okay. Nope. Need to bring it over. There we go. Variations. You could add raffia to where you have the green ribbon. You could add pieces of raffia, make it a little bit more rustic, a little bit more country farmhouse. But that is the design that I have for you today. What questions do you have that I can answer for you? Okay, making sure I've addressed all of your questions. Aw, thanks, Joan. Joan is joining us from the UK. Very late where she is. I think it's about, isn't it 10 or 12 hours difference, Joan? So this is the design. It's another everyday design. Make sure if you are an Etsy seller, you have product available in your shop for people that are looking for gifts. That, you know, it's great to do the seasonals, but a lot of customers want things that can go in between all the everyday stuff. So make sure that they have their everyday designs available. And like I said, this is available now in my website at catscreationsandmore.com. Private group is still open. We're letting it go to the end of May. So if you'd like to join, catscreationsandmore.com, come join us. We have an amazing time. And private group members also get business classes and the Wreath of the Month group. So I hope you guys join me. And other than that, thanks for joining me. Come back Thursday at 2 Pacific, which is 4 Central, 5 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to do another amazing design then. And I will talk to you all soon.